Battlecry of Freedom by Ngakma Nor'dzin.
Part 2, the slogans. Slogan 8. 3 objects, 3 poisons, 3 roots of goodness.
Yulsum, dugsum, getzasum.
The horse may be responsive and supple. It may be unresponsive and belligerent. It may be dull and disengaged. The skillful rider embraces all 3 as opportunities to improve equestrianism. D was deemed a bad horse by those instructors at the riding school who focused on her inconvenient behaviour. They focused on her aggression toward other horses and the strength of her personality. They experienced aversion to D as a riding school horse. However, some of the instructors greatly valued Dee's love of jumping, her courage, skill and intelligence. Some valued her strong personality and regarded her as a good horse. They also were aware of the aggression and that Dee's behaviour had to be carefully managed in group lessons, but they allowed their appreciation of her qualities to override their awareness of her difficult behaviour. Those who focused on her bad points tended to treat Dee rather roughly and impatiently. I'm sure she was aware of their aversion. This made her even less cooperative. Those who focused on her good points treated her more gently and appreciatively, and she responded to this. Kindness and appreciation enabled Dee to be a better horse. Kindness and appreciation were the roots of goodness, and gave her an opportunity to be a good horse.
Ngakchen Rinpoche says, Buddhism is a statement of our intrinsic goodness and the possibility of discovering that intrinsic goodness. When I use the word goodness, I'm not using it in the sense of nicey-nicey goodness or piety or sanctity or holiness. Goodness here relates to complete value. This goodness is the goodness of freshly baked bread, the goodness of seeing a field of sunflowers, the goodness of birth and death, the goodness of being present. There is a basic goodness, a basic sanity with which we can connect. We have that. We simply need to allow ourselves the non-referential space to find it.
This slogan describes the process of classifying whatever is perceived by the mind. From that classification, 3 habitual responses arise. These responses are described as poisons because they arise from classification rather than from direct experience. Through mind training, it is possible to discover direct, clear perception and thereby transform the 3 poisons into the roots of goodness. All phenomena are perceived in relation to personal identity. They are classified as good, bad or neutral, or as friend, enemy or stranger, or as supportive, threatening or irrelevant. These are the 3 objects.
Tokme Zangpo says, on the basis of the 3 types of object, pleasant, unpleasant and neutral, we experience the 3 emotions of attachment, aversion and dull indifference.
Classification leads to response. The good, friendly or supportive gives rise to attraction. The bad, antagonistic or threatening are met with aversion. The neutral, unfamiliar or irrelevant are greeted with indifference. These 3 responses are described as poisons in this slogan. They poison direct perception because they filter perception through classification. This looks like that. That was good, so this will probably be good. There is a response of attraction to the object. This looks like that. That was bad, so this will probably be bad. There is a response of aversion to the object. This looks like nothing in particular. I don't care about this, so it will probably be irrelevant. There is a response of indifference to the object.
Judith Leaf says, 3 objects labelling our world, 3 poisons, fixed reactions to our own labels, 3 virtuous seeds, taking responsibility for our own reactions. We first need to see this pattern at work.
These 3 poisons, attraction, aversion and indifference, are the 3 root misconceptions. The continual pattern of perceiving an object, classifying it, and responding with one of the root misconceptions drives the wheel of cyclic existence. The 3 poisons include the entire range of possible response. Attraction encompasses a slight preference to the extreme of obsessive, compulsive, uncontrollable desire. Aversion encompasses the mildest irritation to the extreme of total rage, violent hatred, and vicious, murderous intent. Indifference is ignorance, in that the object of perception is ignored. It is active ignorance rather than simply not knowing through lack of information. Indifference ranges from not caring enough to notice someone or something to the extreme of blatantly ignoring someone's need despite having the opportunity and capacity to help.
Shema Rinpoche says, even aversion is a form of grasping. If you reflect on it, you will realize that aversion to something implies grasping at something else.
These 3 basic responses of attraction, aversion and indifference are so habitual that they are not noticed. In fact, they may be regarded as ordinary or normal human behaviour. This mistaken view of normality gives rise to such views as, anyone would be angry if that happened, or I have a right to be angry, or there must be something wrong with you because everybody likes that. The imputed normality of classifying objects of desire as real personal needs gives rise to the justification of greed, selfishness, neediness, obsession, narcissism, territorialism, theft, adultery, sexual harassment, stalking, and rape. The imputed normality of classifying objects of aversion as real personal threats gives rise to the justification of incivility, churlishness, aggression, abuse, vandalism, discrimination, racism, hate crimes, murder, war, and genocide. The imputed normality of classifying objects as irrelevant gives rise to the justification of nonchalance, insensitivity, carelessness, apathy, coldness, lack of sympathy, failure to take responsibility, and ignoring the needs of others. To transform the 3 poisons into the 3 roots of goodness, it is necessary to let go of personal identification and classification. Whatever is perceived must be recognized as a new, unique experience in the present moment. It must be free of self-referentiality, free from the continual habit of referencing phenomena in terms of its capacity to support, threaten, or be relevant to personal identity. This view allows the possibility for the object to be perceived directly and with clarity, rather than through the filter of past experience and future projection. The distorted view of the objects dissolves into emptiness. Direct and clear perception creates an open space in which response can also be open and clear. The poisonous quality of response dissolves into emptiness. Letting go of the self-referential view of objects and the habitual poisonous response, there can be appreciation, humour, and interest in everyone and everything everywhere. The roots of goodness become the basis for the growth of awakening.
Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche says, but if your anger is not directed towards something, the object of aggression falls apart. It is impossible to have an object of anger because the anger belongs to you rather than to its object.